new coaching staff.
Welcome everybody to the PinstripeChronicles podcast. I am Bobby. I am here with Donald and Rob, and I actually used my real name today. So it's just been one of those mornings, you know what I mean? So one of the hot topics in sports right now, outside of baseball, because obviously nothing is going on, is the amount of COVID outbreaks that are going on through the NBA, the NHL, and the NBA. So what do you think is going to what should the leagues do at this point when it comes to all these COVID cases and how they're constructing the rosters specifically? And is it compromising the competition and the integrity of winning as they lead into a playoff situation?
I mean, I can see both arguments. Like, some people are saying that it's not good to have like G League players on these NBA rosters, but I go back to when the first postponement of the season happened, last year, and everybody was missing basketball. We're like, man, we want something. We don't have anything right now. So on one side, I can be like, yeah, I don't want to see a bunch of G League players at the NBA level right now because then I just watch the G League. But if they were to postpone the season for a little bit, I'd be like, I'd rather watch these G League players and have nothing at all, because as a sports fan, we're all going to be greedy in that sense because we want something, especially with this new variant out there, and it's kind of getting a little crazy again. So, I mean, it's kind of really just a how do you feel kind of thing, because the league doesn't want to have to shut down again. I can tell you that right now, especially with the holiday season and, in the NFL, they're getting ready for the playoffs in a few weeks, so they don't want to have to shut that down. And if you shut the NBA down even for a couple of weeks to a month, then everything gets pushed back. The start of next season gets compromised, and there's going to be some arguments. Should we shorten the season? Should we push it back? When's it going to start? And you don't want to have to deal with that again. So I think this is probably the only answer, is just put together a team if you can. Some games have been postponed because some teams just can't put together the 8-man minimum in the NBA. So it's kind of just, for me, it's kind of like a seesaw of emotions. Like one side flips, the other side flips. I really can't.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost is, you put yourself in a hypothetical situation, and say for argument's sake, you have, like we had last year with the Super Bowl with, like a Brady and Mahomes. And, they're not quarterbacking because of the COVID protocols. That kind of diminishes the excitement of the game and the integrity of winning the Vince Lombardi Trophy, which is a very prestigious, that's one that it's so hard to get. It's almost, what would happen if, you had a fourth string quarterback playing in a Super Bowl situation, and I think that's what sparked a lot of the conversation throughout social media and the radio stations across the country.
Donald, well, hopefully we don't get to that stage in February. Yeah. I mean, obviously the Super Bowl's not until February, so hopefully this variant is managed by February. With the current protocols of 10 days, though, I mean, it's most prevalent in the NBA right now because, most teams play, at least 3 times a week anyway, minimum. So that's a whole chunk of games. If you're missing 10 days, you could be missing at least 6 games, 5-6 games. It's a lot of games. The NBA makes its money on Christmas Day. Christmas Day basketball is a big thing.
It's so like the NFL on Thanksgiving is the NBA on Christmas. Yeah,
I beve the Dallas Mavericks are playing on Christmas Day, but I heard that Luka Doncic has just been put in the COVID protocol, and Trae Young, with the Hawks star point guard in their game against the Knicks on Christmas Day, I heard he's gone into COVID protocol, and the Knicks have like half their team on COVID protocol right now. So does that diminish the product on Christmas Day? Absolutely. The Nets, they're playing on Christmas Day, and they've got a bunch of guys on COVID protocol. Rob would know better than me as to what state Harden is in and Kyrie, but I mean, it certainly affects what you're looking for, because on Christmas Day you go, right, this is a great ideal matchup. We got we got such and such against such and such. But now, because of COVID, you're gonna be looking at possibly 10-day guys coming in. Uh, I like your point though, Tats, because with teams that it's not going to affect the Nets too much, right? Because they're going to be in first place, and if they miss a couple of guys for a couple of games, it's not the biggest deal. They'll still be in first place after the 10 days are up. But for teams that are fighting for play-ins and playoffs, every game matters.
Yeah.
Every game matters in the NBA now because they've got the play-in scenario. So basically, from 7 down to 10. And then they're all fighting for play-in spots and automatic playoff spots, and all those kind of things. So every game matters. So for the Knicks, we're a game out of a play-in scenario. You don't want to have half your team. It's not really their fault. It's not like these guys are out partying. It's just this thing is spreading like a cold. So people are getting it quick. And so what I would have done is I would have had the Christmas Day games stay because you have to. It's money wise. You can't cancel Christmas Day basketball. But I think for the other games, I think they probably could have canceled one or two, moved it forward to an off day, as long as it was on the East Coast for like East Coast teams. I think I think you probably could have done that, last week. And I don't think it. I think it probably would have been better for the product. So because every game matters is my point. The NFL, we're getting right to the crunch time now, so we're a game or two away from the playoffs. Is what this is like 3 weeks away. So every game matters, man. It kind of sucks. I mean, if you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they're the most exciting team in football. Travis Kelce, he's gone on COVID, and the Chargers, they've got Austin Eckler as their star running back. He's on COVID. These are important games, and important players are missing them, and it kind of sucks for the product. So I would have postponed them, but the money's not in. It's all about money, really.
Yeah, you guys follow the other sports a lot closer than I don't even remotely really pay attention to it, aside from chats on sports radio and on social media. But is it one of those situations, and I'll bring baseball into it because we wanted the 60-game season just to have something, just to have some baseball to watch. The outcome was going to be the outcome. It was a weird year that year. But do you think that also it's kind of giving us something where now with all of this, the competition, you might not be playing your A squads, but at least you guys have, you guys still have, football and basketball and hockey, they're still there to enjoy. And it's one of those, it might not look as competitive as we expected, but at least we got to watch the games. Do you think that's more of a common mentality among fan bases?
Yeah, I think so. Because again, when we didn't have anything, when this whole thing started and everything got shut down, I mean, NFL was not even barely in its off season at that point, so they didn't have to worry. Baseball was deciding when to start, and basketball had to shut down. And I think the NHL had the same thing. So we had nothing. And that goes back to an earlier point a few weeks ago that Scooter made about how WWE was really the only thing, like that's all we really had on TV that was close to like competition was wrestling. We didn't have anything. And during this time, while you wanted to be extra cautious, I understand that completely. Again, we're going to be greedy. It's like, I need something to watch. I can't just keep watching these, Yankees classics all day and be like, this is my fix. I need live sports. So I think that's why, the NBA is doing this. Like if you can field or you can put 8 guys minimum on the court or on the bench, whatever, then there's going to be a game. That's just how it's working right now. Cause I don't think they want to have to go through another shutdown. And I don't think the fans want to see it. They can complain all they want about the rosters that are out there. Cause I know as a Nets fan, turning on a game and not seeing KD or James Harden, we haven't had Kyrie all year, so I won't even mention him. But, it's different when you're seeing Patty Mills and Blake Griffin be the 1 and 2 options compared to Harden and KD. It's a different game you're watching, but it's still better than the alternative, which is not having anything to watch at all. So that's kind of where I'm leaning to the argument. I'm going to take the selfish side because I just want to have something to watch. But if they did have to shut it down, I would completely understand why, because they just have to make sure that everybody is safe. So again, it's like I said before, it's that seesaw of emotions. You look at it from both ways as far as I'm concerned.
Donald?
Yeah, man. I'm as I say, I'm more in the category that as long as like for certain games like for NBA it's Christmas Day, football obviously this kind of period is really important, so you don't want to cancel those games. But I think the games prior, I think you probably could have moved it forward to an off day later in the year when this is more managed, so that the other teams aren't losing really valuable players, because every game matters. As I mentioned, from basically 6 right down, every game matters for all these teams, because there's play-ins and playoff scenarios that go on, and if you're missing your best players, then that it kind of affects the product and affects your chances of fielding a representative team, and it affects a lot of things. But we're only talking about the sporting aspect.
Yeah.
The human aspect is this thing needs to get under control, and I send all best regards to all our listeners and viewers to make sure everybody's safe, because it's really scary. I think we've all been affected by it some way or the other, people being sick, and it's kind of a scary time. So just hope everybody's safe.
Yeah.
I was going to mention, what do you guys think of the new Yankee coaching staff? I've got the Yankee update here from Yankees.com. The Yankees announced 2022 coaching staff. So joining Aaron Boone will be Carlos Mendoza as bench coach, Matt Blake, pitching coach, bullpen coach Mike Harkey, the assistant pitching coach is Desi Drachel, hitting coach Dylan Lawson, assistant hitting coaches Eric Chavez and Eric Casey Dykes. So there's a lot of hitting coaches. Third base and outfield coach.
We need all the help we can get.
Yeah. Outfield coach is Luis Rojas on third base, and first base and infield coach is Travis Chapman. What do you guys think of the coaching staff?
I think it's a solid coaching staff. It's not like you have all these superstar names, that, the average person might recognize, except for maybe Eric Chavez, if you're all, if anybody that's been around for a while. But sometimes, you're trying to correct so many things, and you're trying to bring in so many different perspectives on how to work with different personalities. But is it too many people in charge? There's too many voices in their heads that they don't know who to listen. They might not know who to listen to or which advice is better. So sometimes with the coaching staff, the way I look at it, sometimes less is more. All these assistants and assistants to the assistants, I think that's a little bit of overkill, and it seems a little desperate.
Yeah. I was pretty much expecting this. I mean, outside of Rojas and Chavez, I don't know any of these names really. And that's basically what I was expecting. A lot of guys that probably haven't heard of, but are all in on the analytics. And even Eric Chavez is all in on modern day analytics. So this is exactly what they were going to go for all along. And I mean, I'm not surprised by it one bit. There's a lot of hitting coaches. Like, what is it, 3 in total? Like, there's these hitting coach, and then he's got 2 assistants. So they could bump heads, but I would like to think that they're all on the same path and same page and what they want to teach these guys and how they want to go about it with analytics. So, I mean, it's all just a wait and see about the product. I think at this point, anything's better than Marcus Timms, because clearly it wasn't working out. We had to move on from pretty much everybody on that staff, manager included, but they did what they did. So if they can help out and the team plays better and it makes Aaron Boone have to manage less, then I guess it's a win, but we'll have to see how it plays out once we get to baseball, whenever that may be.
I mean, the only upside to it could be is that there's more eyes to see what everybody is doing. Because if you do have only one hitting coach, he can't watch all nine people in the lineup. So it gives them, in the practices and in batting practice, it gives more eyes to see what needs to be tweaked, and you're able to kind of bounce off each other. But what needs to, what the Yankees need to do is they need to say, all right, this is the hitting coach. This is the guy that's going to relay the messages to the players. And the assistants are just there to be that extra set of eyes for the actual hitting coach. So I think if they operate that way, having extra eyes never hurts. And that's how the Yankees can make it work with the relationship with the players and the hitting coach. So there's all those two sides to it that could be a benefit.
So my thoughts on this are two things. I think that, remember how we were told that there was going to be a yin to Aaron Boone's yang? So who in the coaching staff is the yin to Aaron Boone's yang? That's a big thing for me. So we didn't get that, which tells me exactly which direction the organization is going, and it's not the way the fan base and what the organization actually needs. They are going even more in on analytics than even we could have possibly dreamed. This is now full-blown analytics. This is exactly what they want. So there's no yin to Aaron Boone's yang. That's the big thing. Mendoza, he's not going to be that guy, even though he's very highly rated within the organization. He's certainly highly rated outside the organization too. So I'm sure he'll be a fine bench coach. But Luis Rojas, he's a very good coach, but again, he's not any yin to anybody's yang, because he really struggled with the personalities in the Met locker room. So he's not that guy either. Is Eric Chavez going to be that guy? I don't know. We were all excited about Eric Chavez.
Maybe
we were all excited.
Chavez. We won't know until the game starts.
Well, we were all excited about Eric Chavez being hired, but then did you guys read what he said yesterday? He says he's going to teach guys. Yeah, he's going to teach guys that batting average doesn't matter. So here we go. So this is a slap in the face to old school baseball fans, and the way that
it depends
it
can depend on the context of the comment. It could have been, it could be one of those, when you're in the box, don't look at your numbers. Just focus on the pitcher at hand. Take it one at bat at a time. If that's what he's trying to preach to these guys, don't just stare at your numbers. Just take each game one at a time. That's something I think I could get behind if that's his thought process.
I think it's more in tune of what modern analytics are trying to teach, is that batting average doesn't matter. Because if you look at modern analytics, it really doesn't, if you're going straight by that. Because modern analytics will tell you the guy could be hitting 210, but his on base is like 350. So what's more important? A single or a walk. That's kind of what it's teaching you there. And then you look at the weighted on base average and expected average and all that, hard hit percentage. And that's what analytics does. It takes everything else into account. And like Aaron Hicks is almost a perfect example, or Joey Gallo. He's going to hit for an incredibly low average, but because he walks so much, the on base is still going to be really good. That if 3 of those walks turn into singles every 10 at bats or whatever it is, the average will go up and the on base will stay the same. So in some regard, he's right, but I don't want to kill the batting average. It's there for a reason. It's part of the Triple Crown category. It does matter, because if a guy is hitting 300, that means he is hitting the ball well to get hits. Yep. And at the end of the day, however you get on base is important. So I can see it from both sides. Again, that's basically how I'm feeling about every argument today, every debate today, is I'm seeing both sides of it. But I don't want to kill the batting average, but I do think that it isn't as important as it once was because of the way baseball has trended with the analytics, but it's still important. It's still something to look at and be like, yeah, this guy's hitting 300 for a reason. It's not like you don't hit 300 and get lucky every single time. It's just not how it works.
Yeah, well, listen, who were our two best hitters last year? It was Stanton and Judge, right? And they're both hitting nearly 300. They were in and around that 280, 290 area, which is perfect for what you're looking for from a power guy that can get on base and still drive and run. So it does tell a story. Batting average actually does matter. Joey Gallo stunk last year, and he bat 100. So I'm not overly worried about the OPP and OPS and all OPS plus and all that stuff. If you can't hit a single with a runner in scoring position, there's something wrong with you. If you can't hit a sac fly with a runner in scoring position, then there's something wrong with you. And Joey Gallo's had about 5 sac flies his entire career. So I think it does tell you a story. If there's no bad hitters that hit 300, none. So I think it's I think if somebody tells me that batting average doesn't matter, I get annoyed. Really, is it less of an emphasis? Yes, I'm perfectly happy to say that it's less of an emphasis. I think there's certain other categories, but for teams that are successful, you would find guys that are around 300, maybe not 300, but close to it, because I think still 280 is the modern 280 is basically 300, like it was back in the 90s, if you know what I mean. I think if you understand what I mean, I think that it's a lot harder to hit for a high average nowadays, but I think it still matters. I think there's very much a place for it. And when Eric Chavez says that he's gonna emphasize the batting average doesn't matter, that scares me, because all our problems last year stemmed from far too many strikeouts and far too much of an emphasis on home runs and far too much an emphasis on what the stats are telling you, the advanced analytics are telling you, and that's sometimes you can actually simplify it. See the ball, hit the ball. What did
the other saying is, hit it where they ain't. Yeah,
exactly. And who did that the best last year? Rizzo. He was fantastic at it. And why do you think the Yankee fans all really appreciated him? Because he was more than happy to hit the ball in the gap. And I don't think the Yankees like that too much, but guess what?
Judge and Stanton did that pretty well themselves.
Exactly. And that's why their batting average was high. So you can't tell me that it doesn't matter. So the fact that the Yankees are de-emphasizing that really scares me, man. I think that all the things that the Yankees fans wanted, they wanted change, they wanted a different style, they wanted guys that are getting on base, they want guys that can create runs, not just rely on home runs, and they probably wanted a manager that had a little bit more balls, let's say that, right? A little bit more balls, a little bit more fire in them. Not saying scream at their players, but to have a little bit more determination in a fight. And we're getting none of that, because the coaching staff is actually, there's nothing in that coaching staff. There's not even a Nevin in the coaching staff, because Nevin was Boone's shield, right? Even though he's a terrible third base coach, he was kind of Boone's shield. Like, he was more than happy to go up against the front office if they were short on something. Hey, we don't have enough infielders. We've got too many bullpen arms. He gets in front of the front office and goes, right, you need to give me my man Boone some help here. We need another shortstop, right? And they fired him. I think he fired him because of that. I don't think they fired him because he was getting thrown out at third base. I think it was partly a sacrificial lamb to keep Boone, and also because I think he was, he had a little bit of fire about him, and I don't think the Yankees front office want that. They want some sheep that are sheep to the analytics, and so we're gonna get that. I'm not happy about this. I'm actually not happy with this coaching staff. I'll be honest. I like Rojas. I think Rojas might have a place, and obviously the guys that are remaining. We're looking at Harkey. He's fine. He's good. Blake did a good job.
Coaches, I'm not worried about. I just have questions about how the hitting coaches are going to handle this.
And Tanner Swanson stays. That's a big Brian Cashman guy. Brian Cashman loves Tanner Swanson. Swanson did a terrible job with Gary Sanchez. He's destroyed him even worse than anybody other coaches could do. You've got him playing with one leg. It's affecting all of Gary Sanchez's range, and Gary Sanchez was an even worse catcher than he was prior to Tanner Swanson being the catching instructor. So what do you guys think of Tanner Swanson?
No, I think you hit it on the head. There's nothing really to add or take away from it. is just spot on. Gary's been progressively worse working with this guy, and maybe they need to change. They need to do something. They think that just running it back and having that familiar face is going to be the answer, and it's not working. It's the repeat of things is not working anymore, which is why we were screaming all last year. It's time for a change. They had the perfect opportunity for Cashman to save himself by cleaning house and bringing in all new voices, and he decided he's going to run it back, and jeopardize, his, his reputation. I'll use that word because I don't think he can question his integrity, but Cashman. This is really it's all on him. Everything falls back to Cashman.
Yep. And I hate to say I told you so, but this is what I said was going to happen once the season ended for us. I'm like, we're going to have the same staff.
You nailed it.
with just analytics being the focal point. I mean, this is what we're getting. And that's why I was very vocal about, and a lot of people have also been about needing Cashman gone if we're going to get any real change. Nothing's going to happen if Cashman's still there. And when it was pretty much a guarantee he was back, I'm like, well, that means Boone's back, which means we're going to have more unknowns on the coaching staff that are focused on the analytics. And even Eric Chavez, while he's a known name, he's still kind of an unknown in that position that he's in, because we don't know what he is. What's he really doing as the assistant? He's a second assistant. So it's all analytics. All these guys are here to push the analytics even further than we already do, which is exactly what I saw coming. So I can't say I'm surprised one bit. All I can say is I hope it works, because if it doesn't, then we're going to have it again for another 2 years at least, because of what we gave Aaron Boone on his contract. So,
Rob, just for our viewers, you nailed it, man. Before the end of the season, you did say the Yankees were going to look for the Matt Blake of hitting coaches. That's what they were going to look for. That's what we got. That's what we got. Dylan Lawson. He's brought up through the Yankee minor league system. I believe he coached in the Stros minor league system, because apparently he coached Korea, which should be interesting. I read that in the post, so maybe that helps us if we're in the Korea sweepstakes. I don't know, but Lawson is very much a minor league coach, and he's minor league coach for the Yankees. So I think that he will be analytically driven. Chavez, apparently Aaron Boone says that Chavez is going to be like the utility knife kind of guy. So I think he'll fill in a lot of roles in the coaching staff. Maybe it'll work. We don't know. Obviously, we're only going by. I think it can't be worse than it was. Last year was terrible. The coaching staff was absolutely abominable. So if there's a positive, we'll try and twist it. We'll try and spin it so there's a bit more positive. Chavez is highly rated guy. I think he'll be fine. Rojas is obviously very highly rated inside and outside the organization. He'll fill in a bunch of roles in the coaching. We do need better coaching. I'm sure he'll be that. So that's a good thing. And it means that Aaron Boone doesn't have to coach, which is also a good thing. So, it'll be better than last year, but is it what we wanted? No, I don't think so.
No, but that's why I was saying, until the games actually start, we won't know exactly how these roles are going to, play out. So it might work out. This might be the formula that works. We have to wait and see. And that's the part of it that sucks. It's not like, you're bringing in a name where you could be like, oh, they got it. This guy's really going to make a difference because look what he did. You can't analyze everything that's on paper. You need the eye test, which is why analytics get such a bad rap. Analytically, these guys may be the best of the best, but if they can't work with, they can't coach with their eye test, what good are they? So we're going to have to wait and see on how they actually perform once the season starts, if it starts.
And also, let's think about the Aaron Boone aspect. With the Aaron Boone aspect, they were never, ever going to hire a bench coach that was a very experienced manager to be Aaron Boone's yin to yang, because why would you have a better manager as your bench coach than you have as your actual manager? That would maybe possibly make Boone feel uncomfortable in his hot seat, because the Yankees want Aaron Boone to feel like he's incredibly comfortable. Well, they've obviously given him an insanely massive contract, so they were never gonna put him in a situation where he would feel slightly less comfortable in the media. Say the Yankees go on a 10-game losing streak, and then the media will be like, "Oh, I wonder if the bench coach is going to step in or anything like that." The Yankees don't want to cause anything like that. They want Aaron Boone to feel very secure, and they also want a bench coach who's also going to be an analytics guy. They're not going to want a bench coach which is going to be old school. Remember when we heard Michael Kay prior to Buck Showalter being hired by the Mets going, "Oh, I wonder if Buck Showalter would be interested in being the Yankee bench coach." They were never going to do
He
something
wasn't
like
going to
that.
come in as a bench coach for any amount of
That's
money.
it. That's what I'm saying. You don't want somebody who's a better manager than you as a bench coach, and you don't want somebody who's maybe a little bit more old school to challenge you in any way, or challenge what the stats are saying or what the binder's saying. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, it is the Yankees. The one thing that they'll never have again is the Torrey Zimmer combination.
Yeah.
It's that's never going to happen again. That was, you talk about the perfect blend in that dugout, and just everything was just balanced. The respect for each other, and that's gone. It's going to be, I don't want to bring anybody in that's going to be able to overstep the manager or outshine the manager, because Boone is in it. They put him in. Cashman put him in this bubble that nobody could touch him.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, I think that's going to wrap things up for us today. Just coming on Monday, we do have a very special episode coming around for the holiday.
We do.
Two very special people that will be introduced to everybody. You'll know who it is as soon as you see them. So just remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Check out our social medias in the description. Check out sportnarium.com/player. And we will just remember, wear your pinstripes with pride, play hard.
Merry Christmas, people.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.